Welcome! My name is Emma. I'll start today with a little cleanse. I've got amber scented incense here. It's been my favorite so far besides jasmine. We can take a deep breath together. Wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna stick this right here to burn and I'm gonna give you a little fit check. I am obsessed with today's outfit. I have this shirt is actually just a skirt and I have a little birdie pin holding it together. Very, very cute. I made this outfit last night and I felt so proud of myself. Today I'm wanting to talk a bit about emotions. I've lived most of my life feeling anxiety. And you know, when you feel anxiety often, you sit there and you say, "Oh, I have anxiety." But as soon as you say have, you believe you own it. You believe it's a part of you. You're not just experiencing that emotion, you are claiming it as your own. As you claim it as your own, it becomes one of the very few emotions that you are able to actually release. And then so there's so many pushed down and other unregulated emotions that are all stuck and stagnant because you just keep saying, "I have anxiety." You wake up and you expect to feel anxious. You go out on a social event and you expect to feel anxious. And the problem is because you think you own it. You think it owns you. So you expect it to be there. And typically with feelings like anxiety, you start to think, "Oh, why am I feeling anxious? Why is this happening to me? Like, what have I done wrong?" And you kind of want to like push it away, shoo it. What ends up happening when you claim it as your own, but you simultaneously want to get it away and keep asking why, you are claiming it as your own, but you are also rejecting it. And so you're not letting the natural flow of the emotion just come out of you. You're not allowing yourself just to feel anxious and for it to go away on its own because you believe it's a part of you, but you also don't want to feel it at the same time, so you're not properly processing it. I had an experience like that this morning. I was randomly feeling anxious. You know, I've been a rather anxious person my whole life, and that's because I thought it was a part of me. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't even know that the feeling was anxiety, but it was definitely there, and it just kind of stuck with me throughout my whole life. And I've been really weaving it out of my system recently. And this morning, I was driving back home, and I started to feel anxious for no reason. I started to ask myself, "Oh, why am I feeling anxious? Why is this happening right now? Like, I've done so much work on this. Why is it still here?" And then I have to pause and be like, "Hey, the anxiety is still there because the pressure is still there. If there's a pressure around an emotion, you're not gonna be able to just feel it and let it go." So what I did is I said, "You know what? I do feel anxious right now. And that's okay. I'm gonna let myself feel anxious. I'm gonna let this sit with me." And as soon as I said that, as soon as I said, "It's okay to be anxious," I was no longer anxious. And that's something that I've really struggled with, you know. Every time I got anxious and I always be like, "Oh, why? Why?" I saw this video one time where the difference between talking with vocabulary self-love and talking with a vocabulary of not self-love is the difference between what and why. Because why, it's kind of beating down on you. Why am I feeling this way? Like, it doesn't... When you say why, it feels like there's a pressure. It feels like it shouldn't be happening. You know, it feels like you're being challenged. But if you ask what is making me anxious? What is the root of this? It kind of brings you to a solution and a realization, so you're able to let it go. A couple videos back, I talked about vulnerability. The video is titled Vulnerability, so if you want to hear more about what I had to say, you can hop on over to that. Vulnerability is often what people believe you can give out to the world. It's how much you can express yourself. It's how much emotions you can show others. It's how much passion you can show others. It's you showing up in front of a crowd and not being nervous to be there. You know, it's you're okay with sharing yourself, but vulnerability also goes inward. It's also how much you're allowed to let in. No, that you allow to let in. Are you vulnerable to happiness? Or are you vulnerable to anxiety? Are you vulnerable to excitement? Or are you vulnerable to fear? When you're working through your emotions, your goal isn't just to be vulnerable to happiness, just to be vulnerable to excitement, just to be vulnerable to love. It's to be vulnerable to all of the emotions. Because as soon as you're vulnerable to all of your emotions, as soon as you give yourself the room to feel all of your feelings, it becomes healing. And slowly those feelings of anxiety, those feelings of doubt, those feelings of sadness, they'll become less and less because they know they're accepted. They know they're allowed to be there. You've made space for them. You know it's okay for them to appear, but they're not a state. They're kind of a reaction and a warning. Like fear. Fear is not a state to live in. It's supposed to be an alarm. It's supposed to warn you when something is going wrong. So it's kind of it's the balance of masculine and feminine energy. I also talked about masculine and feminine energy in a couple videos back, so you can go look at that as well. But the masculine, it's kind of the fear. It's kind of being able to protect yourself, but the feminine steps in so you can bring down the fear. So you can bring yourself back into the relaxation. They coexist within each other, so you're able to balance your life that way. You're able to experience all the emotions and be completely okay with it because you know they're just tools to help you survive. If we didn't have fear, if we didn't have anxiety, we would probably get ourselves in a lot of bad situations because we wouldn't be able to dictate what's good or bad. But if we know what good feels like and something brings us fear and something brings us anxiety, we're able to make a choice to steer away from that. We're able to step off into another path instead of staying on that fear and anxiety inducing one and step into the relaxing, happy one. I truly believe there are only two main emotions, two real states, and it is fear and it is love. Every negative emotion comes from fear. Every positive emotion comes from love. If you're feeling happy, it's because you love where you are. If you're feeling joy, it's because there's probably love around you. You love yourself, you love the people you're with. If you're feeling anxious, you're scared of something. If you're feeling angry, look at look at her. I don't even know what she's up to. If you're feeling angry, you're scared that your needs aren't going to be met. If you feel stuck in your spiritual journey, if you don't know why you're not moving forward, there might be some unknown, suppressed emotion that you aren't letting out, that has been cooped up since you were a kid. Maybe you were never allowed to be angry when you're a kid. Maybe you were never allowed to worry when you're a kid. So you kind of shove that down and you don't let it out. But until you let it arise, until you let it come out of your body, until you allow it to have space and to take up room and for you to feel, you're going to feel stagnant and you're going to feel stuck. But that's okay. It's all a part of learning yourself and what your body needs and what you need to heal. I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you.